Alright, what's going on, guys? Trev back again, here to bring you another video. This one's going to be doing my review for the second last episode of Game of Thrones Season 7. This is for episode 6. It's called Beyond the Wall. And spoiler warning, as usual, if you guys have not seen this episode yet, you definitely want to watch it before you watch my review. So it's really crazy, the fact that we're almost all the way through this season of Game of Thrones already. It's really nuts. We only have one more episode left for this season, the season finale episode. This is, I want to say, our big one for the season. Usually each season with Game of Thrones, our second last episode is the biggest episode of the season. With this episode right here in this season, this one did feel like it was a big episode, but it didn't quite, and it was extended, but it didn't quite feel like for me that it would be your kind of Battle of the Bastards type of episode. And that's okay, I think, because with this season we are seeing something very different than what we have seen in the past before. We only have one season left. It's only going to have 6 episodes, so we literally only have 7 episodes left of this series, and then the series is over. That's it. So it does make sense, I think, for this season if they don't have kind of a, huge finale. It was pretty big. There's some stuff in here for sure that was pretty big, but he did have some deaths and stuff like that. But I want to say it wasn't colossal. It wasn't humongous like Battle of the Bastards was and the Winds of Winter, was last season. That said, with this episode, I did really enjoy seeing it, man. It was really wicked cool. It was spoiled to shit for me, and that's one of the reasons why I'm not doing, a reaction video this week. It just doesn't make sense to. I did see comments, quite a few comments. I was trying to clean them out of the channel from people, because it got leaked early, midweek, so to speak. Which was pretty early for an episode to be leaked like that. Which was, I would say, is a colossal screw-up. I already kind of gave my thoughts on that. I did a video on that, so I'm not going to repeat it. It's a colossal screw-up that an episode this big, with things that were this important, was released early accidentally. Because, going into it, like I said, spoiler warning, I knew about the deaths because people have been leaving comments about it, and especially the dragon death, which I'm wondering how I would feel about the episode if it wasn't spoiled for me. I'm thinking that I probably would have enjoyed it a lot more, and I probably would be, a lot more hyped after seeing it if it wasn't spoiled. And I think this is a great example. I've been, reviewing shows now for getting close to 8 years online through YouTube with you guys. I think this is a good example of why spoilers are a tricky business, because there's certain things like the dragon, of course, and this one, Viserys, you really would not want to see that spoiled. That's the type of thing that is really monumental in the series, to see a huge character death like that, I want to say, and something so important in the series, so crucial, that getting it spoiled early really wrecked the episode for me, as well as some of the others. But I did still enjoy it, and I did still really thought it was quite the spectacle. When you see the dragons come in, save everybody, Jon kind of gets left, and you see the dragon go down from the undead super spear type thing. A nice javelin throw from the Night King that puts down the one, and then the others wailing and that kind of thing in response to it. So it was really exciting getting to see all the the White Walker army, all the undead, the zombies, and the whites and everything was really exciting in this episode. It had a pretty cool, I want to say, zombie apocalypse feel, or something very close to maybe a zombie apocalypse, mixed with a little bit of Avengers, as you see kind of the camera spin around as you see each person on looking. When they get surrounded on the ice block, and to their, as far as they can tell, they're surrounded by ice that's caved in, but there is a spot actually that the Hound reveals that is not actually that's actually walkable. They can actually walk on it. So all the action scenes when the undead army figures out that they can kind of come across, and there's certain spots that they can walk slowly across, and they start to. It was pretty exciting to see them all, fight down. You've got Beric with the flaming sword, which was really cool in this one. Something really good. And I did like how he mentioned that he had met Jon's father. That was a different actor who was in the first season when Eddard had sent him to find or capture the mountain, and it didn't go so well as you might expect for him. But but he's a really cool character, and this is probably my favorite episode for him because he's been in the series a really long time. But just really cool how he had a quick talk with Jon about Eddard, and just a nice throwback to the first season is something that I haven't really thought about for quite a while. I do have some problems with the episode, I want to say, though. There are some things in it that I just felt like didn't fit within this universe, didn't fit within the Game of Thrones world. Maybe it's a topic for a video all in and of itself, because there is a lot. But just to sum it up very quickly for you, we get used to a certain pacing throughout Game of Thrones, throughout the seasons, right? Earlier on, the pacing for Game of Thrones was a lot slower, and then it kind of, even the first few seasons, it was a lot slower, and then it started to pick up, I want to say, maybe around season 4, probably around season 4 with the children and Tyrion on trial and all that, the mountain and everything, and it just carried on through up until right now. But this episode has faster pacing than almost any episode, I think, ever, to the point where it starts to feel a little bit, unauthentic. It starts to feel a little bit, contrived, where you have, so they send Gendry back, they get stuck, right? And then, of course, he sends a raven, and the whole thing is, it doesn't feel right for me, because it's like, based on the pacing we've had in the series before, where, the distance, they make a big deal about the distance, right? So it takes them, this long to get from Winterfell to King's Landing. It takes them this long to get to the Wall. And we see characters traveling a lot, having campfires and discussions like Tyrion and Jon's early on in season 1. Stuff with the Wall and the different things that happen throughout the show. It sets a certain, level of pacing in the series that we kind of get used to. In this one, this is more like a movie. It's like, okay, this is here, and then the Raven goes there, and then she hops on right away, and then she's there to save them within no time. I do have an issue with this. I do take issue with this. It doesn't feel like it would fit in that universe. And I know you can say, well, yeah, the dragons are going to be fast. It's like, and she's never really used a dragon to travel. It's a little tricky. So I guess it makes sense that you would have, dragon be pretty quick and could be there in hardly any time at all. But it just doesn't feel like that should happen in this universe based on the, all the seasons prior and how long it takes and everything. With the group that's stranded there, Jon and the others beyond the Wall, when they think it's ice all around, I can understand if they wanted to kind of make that more of a marathon than a sprint and kind of stretch that out to the point where, okay, Gendry gets back. They send a raven. Daenerys has the argument with Tyrion, and then she hops on. But you would think that maybe it could be a while before, like if you wanted to space that out a little bit better, you probably have that be a while where they're stuck there and the undead army's just watching them, and maybe they're just like, well, what the hell are we going to do? And they're stranded there. And just some more time in between to make that feel like, okay, it has enough time for the Raven to get here, and then, for her to figure it out and then decide, and then she leaves, and then eventually she rescues them. That almost seems to me like an entire episode thing if you go based on the seasons before. Usually, I'm not happy with pacing when the pacing is too slow, when they add in too much filler and they stretch out the episodes too much. So usually I'm complaining about that. But this is a very rare case where the story, it just doesn't quite feel like it fits properly with this world. And we saw it in episode, I want to say, was it 5 as well too, where it's like Jon is there and then boom, he's at Eastwatch and then they're leaving. It's it just doesn't feel like to me that that's Game of Thrones based on the earlier seasons. So that is definitely one of my gripes, that the pacing doesn't match with a lot of the other seasons we've had in the series and a lot of the other stuff. And yes, I know you can understand it as to say, well, the dragons are really fast, so it doesn't take long. Ravens are fast, so it doesn't take long. But still, it doesn't feel right for me in this instance. Another major complaint I've seen right now with this episode and the prior ones is that the whole plan is stupid to begin with. And I agree with that. Jon even acknowledges it was a stupid plan, but it feels even more like a stupid plan now after we lose. Because really, this is a colossal failure. Yes, they did get one undead skeletal creature to bring back to show Cersei and show the others, so that everybody understands that they're all on the same page. So everybody gets it that this army is for real and it's not something just made up, some kind of folklore or something. This is real. I get that, but the whole concept of trying to capture one, when you see the size of that army, you see everything they have, and to do it on foot is pretty nuts. I mean, it's like a Suicide Squad, like going in there trying to capture one is just it's not a good plan, I would say, that's for sure. But again, with that, you can also see the other perspective and argue, well, Jon's not necessarily that smart. He's kind of a gung-ho, go-in type of deal. And I guess you could argue that to be true. If you look at the Battle of the Bastards against Ramsay, being outnumbered, whatever, he just goes in anyway. It's what he does. He has done weird stuff earlier on, like when he goes to talk to Mance Rayder. You would assume that Mance would kill him at that point once he's turned back to the Night's Watch afterwards. So I guess you could say it's within character for him to do kind of crazy shit sometimes. This is what he does. But, definitely those are some things about the episode. But that said, though, it was really epic. So let's start off at the beginning. There's some pretty funny stuff, I think, with Tormund in this episode. Some hilarious lines of the characters just meeting each other and talking. I like when when he tells the Hound that he likes Brienne, which was really funny, and that he wants to make babies with her. That's funny. I like that one a lot. So the expedition outside the wall, Tormund is absolutely being hilarious with the Hound and everybody. Too much time with the free folk. Now you don't like kneeling. So I thought that was funny. That was a good line that he says to Jon. Gendry's pissed off that the Brotherhood Without Banners had sold him, which had leeches put on him. So you can understand that one from him for sure. You've got Jorah with the Longclaw scene, which he allows him to keep it. He said, no, you keep it. There's a mention of Mance, which was pretty cool. And, he did. Also, that's an important line for him to tell Jon, because Jon hasn't kneeled yet to Daenerys, and due to his pride or what have you. And a lot of people died as a result of Mance not doing that. So, I like that line. That was a good one, too, and it's going to be important, I think, for Jon going forward. Then we go to Winterfell. We've got Arya and Sansa, the talk of the arrows, of course, as we know from last week, that Arya has found this note, and she's upset at Sansa, so she goes at her a little bit in this episode, and what was kind of a nice turn, because from the viewer, at least from my perspective, it kind of went into, like, Arya kind of being a villain almost for a second against Sansa in this case, which I thought was pretty good, and she did get to see the faces and stuff, and she realizes how dark a shit Arya is into. So that was pretty good. I did like that. Some mentions of Sir Roderick. You got the confrontation, being upset about Eddard and the talk of that. So that was fine. Thought that was okay. We'll have to see where they're going with it, and what Baelish has in store and how this whole thing works out with Brienne heading to King's Landing with the letter from Cersei and everything. But definitely Sansa has paid her dues, and Arya calls her out on being scared of the Northern Lords, which she probably should be, to keep everybody happy and keep everybody working together is going to be a tough thing for sure. Tormund and the Hound, fuck off, right? Gingers I hate. Well, you fuck off. And then the scene, Dick, I like it. And then the Hound, I bet you do. So that was really good. And that is true that some of the lines in here were really classic. Really some good stuff for sure. Then we've got Death is the Enemy, so no joy, maybe that's enough. And then we get kind of we get close to our first kind of peek at starting to see something. Dragonstone, you've got Tyrion and Daenerys. Tyrion not being a hero. Her commenting that Jon Snow is too little for her. So but, it was okay. So for me, leading by fear. So a conversation about how they should lead. And difficult provocation, and burning the Tarleys. So the discussion they have about burning the Tarleys. I personally I totally agree with Daenerys in that one. She did have to make an example out of them, and she did have to show some strength, even though she does want to lead out of love. Still, you don't want to be beaten by fear, because fear, people will do more to avoid pain than to gain pleasure, right? So succession after, north, then we go back to the north, we got the undead bear, which was pretty cool, the fire, Thoros and Myr getting bit pretty badly, and then of course later on, so then we've got Baelish and Sansa. Brienne can help intercede, and then we've got the flaming sword, just the drunkest. So that was a funny line there as well too, that he's just the drunkest. So then we've got the dead walking, and they ambush them. So that was a pretty exciting scene. This is when stuff starts to get really really exciting, when you see the white with the others, and when Jon kills the one, which was pretty badass. The others all disintegrate except for one, which was still, I want to say had more flesh to it. Was more closer to being alive than the others that were more kind of, I would say, more magic possessed or skeletal. Then we've got them running, and we've got the part with the ice, and the ice starts to crack all around. So it was really exciting to see them kind of get trapped like that. It was a really exciting scene, and you have the White Walkers around everywhere, so it was pretty cool. So kind of the closest thing we'll probably get to maybe a zombie movie in Game of Thrones. So we've got the zombies incoming, really cool stuff, getting trapped, and then Gendry falling on his way back, but he does end up getting back to there, and they do send the Raven for help. We've got the Night King, and then we've got the note from Cersei, as we said. We've got Daenerys, so she heads out. Tyrion doesn't like it. Tyrion says to do nothing. But as a result of them, it's a win for the undead because they get a dragon now. They get an ice dragon, which is wicked, and that's definitely going to help them out a lot. That's going to be definitely very difficult to deal with for sure. But on the other side too, it's maybe kind of a win for them as well too, in some way, kind of, that they're able to actually capture one and take it back with them. So then we've got the music, and we've got Jon, we've got the spear. And then we've got Jon, who there was some pretty good, I want to say, like fake deaths in this one, or deaths where it looks like Jon was going to die, and then he ends up, kind of climbing back up and not actually dying. Then we've got Benjen, who kind of came out of nowhere. It felt a little bit kind of convenient, but it was exciting at the same time. And as well, we always knew that he was kind of in and around there anyway, because we'd seen him recently, and it was good that he was able to save Jon. I wouldn't want to see Jon die at this time. It was pretty exciting, and I did like to see at least and that's another character death as well too, because he's kind of always been out there. We've always kind of wondered, okay, when is he going to come back in the story? What is he going to be used for? And he came back in with Bran earlier, and now with Jon saving him. So it was pretty good for him to be used in that way, I want to say, because I really can't see him doing much else in the series after this anyway. I did also think it's funny when Clegane, he's like kicking the undead one, and they're all screaming at him. So that was kind of funny. And we've got the big exciting scene where Daenerys comes in, the fire everywhere with the dragons and everything, very exciting, and the dragon going down. The dragon going down scene. Some people have complained. I've seen about the CGI in this episode. I thought it was okay for the most part. Sometimes the White Walkers, the Whites especially, like the Night King, that in the distance didn't quite look right. But the rest of it was pretty good. I thought the dragons were pretty well done, and the way the blood kind of came out just seemed like there was a lot. Like once the spear hit it, it kind of like blew up inside or something, and the fire kind of comes out, and then the blood just starts kind of pouring out, which was it was definitely exciting and definitely really something to see for sure, spectacle for sure. And then we get the others that kind of climb on, head out and everything like that. So that was all good stuff. We switch back to Sansa with the North, and Arya, the faces and all that, like I mentioned before, and Arya kind of threatening to become Sansa, or at least bringing up the option that she could, should Sansa do anything that she doesn't like. But I'm sure with them it'll all work out. I couldn't really see in the series, and that's why those scenes where they were a little intense, but they weren't crazy, because I could not really see Arya killing Sansa off or doing something like that. I don't see that being where the story's going. So it was okay to see kind of their arguments and stuff that went on with them, but I didn't think it was fantastic as a result. We've got Jon kind of waking up, and Daenerys kind of being there. He calls her Danny, which was good, and then does tell her that he will join, or he will kneel, that kind of thing, and call her his queen. So then they rest and all that, and we get to see the dragon brought up with the chains and the White Walkers pulling and everything, and the Night King touches to turn him into an ice dragon, which was really sweet. Probably the best single scene of the episode. Very exciting for sure. So it certainly was an eventful episode. I won't say that it was not eventful, and it was really exciting, for a lot of the parts beyond the wall in this one at one time or another. Pacing a little bit different, a little bit strange, not quite used to it, but of course, we don't have that many episodes left. It makes me kind of question their decision to kind of cram in the episode numbers. It kind of makes me think like, you really could have probably extended this a little further, but maybe what they saw from Season 6, near the end of Season 6 with Battle of the Bastards and all the craziness that happened with the finale there, Winds of Winter, maybe they figured like it's better for us to go for quality versus quantity and try to do 10 and stretch it too much. let's not lose viewers. Let's make some, 7, awesome episodes with no filler, very fast-paced, incredible episodes where a lot of things are happening very quickly and we don't make the audience wait. So, can we really complain about that either? Not really. There's not that much time left. So, luckily, it seems like they're cramming everything in. They're going to get it all done in time. And, of course, the CG to do all the stuff they're doing costs a goddamn fortune. Every time they show a dragon, that's really hard to do. Every time they show the White Walker army, very hard to do. So, luckily, the show has done well, and we've been able to get to this point to get to see some of this stuff done in CG because the amount of money it costs, the amount of time it takes to do. Really happy they were able to do it, though, because it does feel like we need to see stuff of this spectacle to kind of understand a lot of the things earlier in the series and to kind of put it in place. It does feel like some of the most epic stuff that they've ever done in the series, I do have to say. Let me know what you guys thought about the episode. Those are kind of my thoughts on it. I liked it. It wasn't for me like the best episode ever. It wasn't like as good as Battle of the Bastards for me, or maybe even Winds of Winter. But, it was solid. It was really on point, and I probably would have liked it a lot more had it not have been spoiled for me, is really what I'm thinking at this time. In terms of score, I'm just going to give it a 9 out of 10. It is kind of a finale episode. It's an extended episode. It's still really good, but at the same time, there are a lot of episodes of Game of Thrones that I did enjoy more than this one, and maybe that's because it was get wrecked for me beforehand. Maybe it's just me. But let me know what you guys thought about the episode. Write those comments below. And if you like this video, please thumb it up below. You can also share and favorite. And if you're new and you want to subscribe to the channel, you can do so at the bottom left. That's it for this one. I'll see you guys again soon for another video. As always, this is Trev, and I'm saying peace. Later, guys. See you soon.
You better subscribe.